We interrupt this program to bring you...
I'm leaning on the curb, sipping syrup, blowing throat. I'm pull up, gripping balls, tipping still low. I'm leaning on the curb, sipping syrup, blowing throat. I'm pull up, gripping balls, tipping still low. I'm leaning on the curb, sipping syrup, blowing throat.
People don't make albums anymore. They don't make albums. They just try to sell a bunch of little quick singles and they burn out and they put out a new one and they burn out and they put out a new one. People don't even listen to a body of work anymore. I think people are so brainwashed. You get up in the morning, you click on the computer, you see all these pictures and it's all you think of is the picture and the image that you see all day, every day. And you don't see the human form. And I think when Nina Simone put out music, you loved her voice, but you didn't get brainwashed by her day-to-day life and what her child is wearing and who she's dating and, you know, all the things that really, it's not your business.
Marketing in the music industry is essential because it amplifies your hard work and talent to millions of potential fans and consumers. However, when it comes to these new age musicians, the art of marketing has been lost upon them. When you think back to some of the greatest musicians of all time, don't just look back on their craft, but look at how they sold themselves as artists. They created worlds or eras for their music and embodied what they were trying to sell. But that sense of marketing has seemingly become obsolete from the music industry. I feel as though this laziness in terms of self-promotion can be accredited to not only social media, but a disassociation with fame and normalization of mediocrity. So let's break this down. Social media has made it to where virtually anyone can be famous, and the presence of celebrities is constantly dimming. YouTubers, Viners, TikTokers, and Instagram personalities have changed what it means to be a celebrity. While some still don't take influencers seriously, when a YouTuber can get the same amount of views for a YouTube video that a musician gets for a music video, one can't deny that social media influencers have just as much clout as the people we see on red carpets. Some of these influencers are even being invited to red carpet events and doing collaborations with icons. And it's when influencers begin to realize how popular they actually are that they branch out into other things. So what does this mean for the music industry? Due to this uprising and influencers pursuing other outlets of media like TV shows, acting, and even music, the line between an influencer and a celebrity becomes thinner and thinner. One of the most common denominators with influencers is that they're all relatable. Not in the sense that they have what we have, but they started where we are. The idea that someone can go from recording videos on their computer webcam to buying Lamborghinis and diamond watches is inspirational. The idea that all these people were once just like us, and with something as simple as the right viral video became rich and famous. Sure, all celebrities were once nobodies, but social media is something that everybody has access to. So with the rise of self-made influencers, the ideas of nepotism and needing a foot in the door are eliminated. Anyone can be famous. The reason that this is so important is because influencers also work for themselves on their own time. There are YouTubers that go on hiatus for months and return to YouTube still doing just fine. They're not as responsible for making public appearances despite being public figures. Some YouTubers with millions of subscribers don't even show their faces because they value privacy. While more successful influencers have branched off to bigger things, you don't have the pressure of needing media training, radio interviews, and talk show appearances to be successful. All you need is a camera, a fan base, and a vision. Other than that, you can do whatever you want. It's this lax, nonchalant attitude towards being a celebrity or having clout that has begun to trickle down into Hollywood, and a lot of young, up-and-coming artists want the perks of being a celebrity, like money, popularity, and brand deals, without the hassle or upkeep of being a star. This is where the disassociation with fame comes in. Many ask the question, where did real stars go when comparing younger artists to legends such as Michael Jackson, Prince, Mariah Carey, Beyonce, and practically any other music icon? But the difference between newer artists and legends isn't necessarily that there's a lack of talent, but instead a lack of work ethic. One of my favorite eras to reference when talking about marketing in the music industry is the early 2010s. There were so many new breakout stars that made sure to uniquely introduce themselves to the world. The early 2010s was no doubt one of the most experimental eras for music. Music videos had actual concepts, songs told stories, and there wasn't an obsession with doing what was trendy. Being alternative became very popular, so artists were allowed to express themselves individually rather than cosplaying into mainstream aesthetics. Not to say that there weren't gimmicks, but the gimmicks were used to draw attention to their art. These were artists that had something to say and wanted to be famous. An album was an era, songs were narratives, and the reason that older music sounds so different is because older artists love making music. However, the rise of social media has caused many newer artists to be disconnected with fame. The lives of celebrities used to be taboo. With the exception of documentaries and shows like MTV Cribs, you only really saw a peek of what stardom looked like. But with apps like Instagram, you know what clothes a celebrity has, what car they drive, what their living room looks like, and having such easy access to the lives of celebrities takes away from the mystique of being famous. This frivolous use of social media, as well as the impact of the social media influencer, has caused celebrities to be comfortable being normal. And while celebrities are still human, it's this blasé attitude towards fame that ultimately results in lackluster and often mediocre music. It's cool to drop an album and then go on hiatus for 5 years because at least you still have brand deals. For a lot of new mainstream artists, music is merely an afterthought, and all of their time goes into maintaining a social media presence rather than improving their craft. Now, do I think artists should stress themselves out by spending hours in the studio making beats and beating themselves up trying to learn dance routines? Not necessarily, but a little passion would be nice to see. But artists aren't the only people being affected by bad marketing. So is the general public, because as mediocrity becomes more frequent, we make it the new normal.
I know I can't afford to stop for one moment, that it's too soon to forgive.
There's no denying that real artistry still exists. It's seen especially from bigger, more seasoned artists. The Weeknd, Tyler the Creator, Adele, and Bruno Mars are all proof that good marketing still exists. But then there are some people who just drop music and never promote it, never release visuals, never do radio interviews or talk shows, they just drop an album. And this can be effective if you have the clout to pull it off. Prime example is Beyonce releasing her self-titled visual album in 2013 with no warning. But there's a difference between using shock value to your advantage and simply being too lazy to promote your latest work. What's ironic though is that some of the best album rollouts come from artists who are underground or not as mainstream. Victoria Monet, Amine, and JID are 3 artists that always have pretty good rollouts for their projects. And while they receive some traffic, it's never on a super mainstream level. So why do they never get mainstream attention? It's because we've simply gotten used to mediocrity. Social media has resulted in a more fast-paced industry, so we're used to seeing artists tease a song a week in advance, release it on Thursday at midnight, and drop the visuals 2 weeks later. That's usually the formula. If the song is lucky enough to receive traction, then the artist will perform it live somewhere, and if it underperforms, then it's on to the next thing. Songs move in and out of the Hot 100 all the time, because artists just push out music to satisfy a temporary need, like they're performing at Coachella soon, or their fans have been asking for new music, or awards season is coming up so they have to release a single. And because we've gotten used to 2-minute songs and thrown together projects with unoriginal sampling, we think that this is what marketing looks like. So songs that tell stories feel long-winded and boring unless they're coming from someone the public is used to listening to. And underground artists remain underground, with established cult followings that support their music, but not a lot of mainstream attention. In closing, marketing in the music industry is not what it used to be, because musicians are more concerned with being influencers and using music as a side hustle. Mediocrity in musicians has always existed, but there has never been an overwhelming sense of mediocrity in mainstream media like there is now. Not to say that there aren't artists that are good at marketing, but it's a rare commodity. I could go into excruciating detail about the different societal and economic aspects that have contributed to bad marketing, but quite frankly, I don't feel like making an hour-long video. I think I've done a good job at scratching the surface, and if you guys would like a part 2 with more specific examples, let me know. Until next time, goodbye.